The footage you are about to see is from our recent trip to Tulum. Now, this video is a little hard for us because on one hand, we had an absolute blast in Tulum, spending time with our friend Ingrid, hanging out on the beach, riding bikes, etc. On the other hand, we didn't really like Tulum.
Now, we're gonna get into more on why we didn't like Tulum, but first, we wanted to let you guys know that our very first ever Con Todo Coffee Black Friday sale of 30% is going on now. It's live on the website. If you've ever wanted to try our coffee, which is exclusively for people who love Mexico, now is the time. Now, let's jump into some adventures with Ingrid.
Out for our morning run. These two are crazy. Absolutely beautiful here. I don't know if we've missed the sunset or if it's actually come up already, but either way, it's a perfect way to start the day. There it is. There's the sunrise. Amazing. Eight miles in the books. We were only supposed to go 6.
We're just feeling too good.
I guess we were just feeling too good here in Tulum. We were at Matcha Mama.
Matcha Mama.
Matcha Mama's like smoothie bowls. Very, very Tulum, right?
So Tulum.
How's the acai bowl?
I have a really bad brain freeze. Greg, you already ate all yours?
Demolished.
It's really good. I'm a little cold though.
When you're in Tulum, you do as the Tulumians do. We got our rented bikes.
Rented bikes, baby.
We got our vacation hats on. Headed to the beach.
Yes.
So it should be a relatively short ride down to the beach. I think about 2 miles, maybe 2.5, depending on how far down the beach we go. We are staying in the Aldeasama. I don't know if we go with the Z or the S. Aldeasama area of Tulum, which is pretty interesting. I think maybe in like 5 years it'll be like really nice. It feels like a brand new development. They're still developing a ton. It's kind of a mixed use area of restaurants and bars and shops, and then new condos. So it's, I don't know, it's nice, it's new, it's interesting. I think we actually wanted to stay kind of in town, but we found something a lot more budget friendly. Ironically, that, you know, because this is a new nice area town, we just couldn't find any hotels, Airbnbs that were in our budget. So here we are.
Sorry. What happened?
About a mile in, we had
A mile in? Oh, you're right. We are a mile in.
difficulty, but luckily or not, I don't know. This happened to me last night, so I am now an expert bike mechanic. Actually, I need to go on the other side. Got it.
You got it? You did it! Okay, this was just one of the many bike fiasco situations we had.
Yes.
I said it in the video, but let me reiterate. Greg became a pro at fixing his bike chain, and it was like the second to last day. And I'm riding, and my bike, all of a sudden, I'm just grinding on metal. Like, I can tell that the back wheel is not moving. It turns out the fender had, like, slipped underneath the wheel. I think these are really old, kind of crappy bikes. So, like, the fender had slipped underneath the wheel, so we had to have the bike repairman come. He took the fender off.
Yes.
Well, then it was raining, so the whole way to dinner, it slung mud up because I didn't have, like, a fender to catch the mud. What else happened? We had to take the bikes off-roading a lot. There were so many
bikes was an bike
adventures that you guys didn't even see, but I feel like
we'll remember it.
We will never forget the bike situation in Tulum. Now back to it.
We have made it. So have a lot of other people. This is crazy. I'm so glad we got down here early this morning to run, see the beach, because it's probably gonna be pretty busy down there. absolutely beautiful. We have been to the Tulum Beach once before, several years ago. We went to the archaeological site and then just ventured to the beach. But there was a ton of seaweed. Good news today, no seaweed. How was the water?
Oh my gosh, so nice. It was so nice. The water is cleaner than like swimming pool water, which I was not expecting. I was a little worried that there might be seaweed.
Yeah.
There's no seaweed and the waves are really small and the water is perfectly crystal clear and the sun's out.
The weather.
This is like the best day in Tulum I could ever ask for, right?
It is.
And we have a Gelato on the way.
There
There's
we
that.
go. 500 pesos well spent. We got our cielo rojos, ojo rojos, micheladas, whatever you want to call them, with our Indio beer.
Wow.
So this is special. This is my first
Oh,
Mexican enchilada.
your first michelada in Mexico.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. It will not be your last.
Won't be your last today, that's for sure.
Cheers.
A few hours, 2 beers and a michelada later, and we were leaving the beach. We had a lot of fun. We have ridden our bikes into town, which will give us and you a good opportunity to see what the city looks like. We made it. Cheers.
Yes.
Here's a perfect illustration of why we're friends with Ingrid. First off, this is her second Michi back there. She's loving it. She won't shut up about how much she's loving micheladas, ojo rojos. But when we order our tacos, here we go. Here's the food. Here's the food. Food looks delicious. Ingrid was ordering her food, and there was an option to have it with the spicy, with like salsa or not. And she said, "Oh, I want it spicy." And he said, "Do you want it American spicy or Mexican spicy?"
She went for
What'd you go with?
without hesitation.
Mexican spicy.
Mexican.
When in Mexico.
She went con todo.
Oh. And honestly,
What's the verdict?
That was super good. What I ordered was not at all what I thought I was gonna eat. I ordered fried fish tacos, but these were like tacos dorados with like marlin, smoked marlin inside. They were really good. I ate almost all that I could. Saving room for a special gelato dessert that Ingrid had twice yesterday. The michelada
Jeez, way to throw her under the bus.
The michelada is really good.
in all fairness, I did have to do research for my friends that were coming to visit, so I had to sample.
Yeah.
The,
She had to sample.
The
Glad she
gelato.
did.
Was it spicy, Ingrid?
She's a champ. She's a champ.
We are now on a mission to get gelato. Gelato? Gelato? I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is the main strip going through Tulum, so there are a lot of like little, I don't know, souvenir places, ice cream, restaurants, a little bit of everything.
That's it, that's the hazelnut.
How is it?
It's just so good. It's so good. Our tour guide told us about this place. She's a local from Tulum.
You got spicy chocolate and
Nochola, which is
Nochola.
hazelnut. Which, in case anybody's wondering, hazelnuts are the thing of Nutella. So anything that's Nutella related is going to be damn good.
made it home. A little dark to be riding your bikes out here with no bell,
But I
no
feel
lights.
so experienced.
You have a lot of
The off-roading was the part that was really the trickiest. Like, I don't even know how you explain that road. It was like a dirt road.
yeah.
It's just off-roading.
we're glad to be home.
Now, we left you there that night in Tulum and made our journey the next morning all the way across Mexico back to Vallarta. I think we took a bus, a taxi, a bus, 2 planes, another taxi. That didn't sound like that much. It was a long day.
It was like 12 or 14 hours.
As much fun as we had in Tulum, we are so glad to be back here in Vallarta.
As promised, here are some of our thoughts on Tulum. First, if you have visited Tulum or you are looking to visit Tulum, we would recommend visiting other places instead of Tulum. So places that we just quickly thought of.
Places that may be similar, kind of have a similar vibe / feel that we think you would probably enjoy.
Yeah, if you think you'd like Tulum, here are some alternative options. Holbox, Bacalar, Puerto Escondido, and Sayulita, San Pancho, that area. I think those are great alternatives to visiting Tulum.
Now, before we get into why we didn't like Tulum, quick disclaimer, we didn't do everything there's to do in Tulum, and actually most things that we did do in Tulum, we did off camera.
Yep.
Most of us spent time with Ingrid. We laid low, so we obviously didn't do all the cenotes, and we've done the archaeological site. This is just about our particular experience that we had.
That's a good disclaimer. Okay, the first thing we didn't like about Tulum is it is expensive. Now, we've traveled extensively across Mexico, so we have a baseline for things like bottles of water,
taxis,
places to stay, things like that. Taxis in particular were expensive. Even simple things like a bottle of water cost around 50 pesos for a bottle of water that here in Vallarta might cost 20 at just like a little pharmacy.
At least where we were staying.
Things like that. And the last thing that we noticed was expensive were tours. We really wanted to go to cenotes. That's one of my fondest memories and one of my favorite videos we ever made. We've been exploring cenotes, but unfortunately the tour prices in Tulum were completely out of our price range. So the first thing that was shockingly obvious upon arriving in Tulum was it is quite expensive.
Actually, I think we're missing something there that we forgot to add.
What?
Pre-video consultation about discussing this. Before we got to Tulum, one thing we realized that was expensive was hotels. Lodging.
Yeah, you're right. So we wanted to stay, I think we mentioned this in the video, we wanted to stay sort of in town and really struggled to find anything in our price range, which is why we ended up in the Aldeasama area where we were able to find like a really inexpensive Airbnb. I feel like it was around 800 pesos, around $40 US a night. But you're right, lodging short term anyways was pretty hard to find.
Right, and while we did find an economical option to stay, I think that area will be nice. I think it could be good, but
it was a little remote.
It was a little remote, which actually leads to something else. We don't even like talking about like a place we don't like. It doesn't feel natural. It's not really the kind of energy we like to bring.
And we spent like an hour trying to decide
how to approach this.
Yeah. So here we are. Thing number 2 we didn't like about Tulum.
It's weird that we had so much fun. So it just feels weird all around.
Yeah.
Thing number 2 we didn't like about Tulum was, although Tulum is a beach town, unless you're paying $500+ a night for a hotel on the beach.
It's true. We saw places for $500 a night.
You're not really on the beach. Now, you're not super far, but the town is set back probably 2 or 3 miles off the beach, which is why you saw us riding the bikes. So I think the overall walkability in terms of like beach access, whereas here in Vallarta, even if you're like in Versailles or a few neighborhoods off the water, you could still easily walk to the water or catch a bus or easily find a taxi.
And this kind of goes along with thing number 1 with the expenses. So taxis in our area weren't super readily available, and they were so expensive that like it wouldn't be worth it to try to get a taxi to the beach. The other thing about the beach that Greg didn't mention that I just remembered is there's basically one small public beach, and that's it. The Tulum coastline, at least there near town that you can ride your bike to, is relatively small. And during our time there, of course, we tried to show you guys shots when there weren't a lot of people, but the beach was really, really busy.
It was very busy. Yeah. We'll say the beach was beautiful. It was definitely worth the run, the walk, or the bike there.
And the Michi.
And the Michi was nice.
Yeah.
Did we get the video of Michis in the rain? I don't even know if we showed that.
I don't know.
The beach was worth it. It just wasn't as easy to access as I would have hoped for a beach town.
Yeah. And the last thing that we didn't like about Tulum, and this is where it gets really hard to sort of express exactly how we felt then, how we feel now, and sort of like combine all that into sort of a positive outlook, if you will, as in our normal videos, is the area we stayed in, the restaurants we visited, basically every interaction we had were places where it was 100% tourists. And I think that sort of created a lack of a sense of community. Now, when we visit other places in Mexico, sometimes we're the only foreigners there, sometimes we're the only tourists there. Other times, like in Vallarta, we're among thousands of other tourists, but not 100% of the people in our neighborhood here in Vallarta are tourists. We spoke nothing but English for the time that we were there. And again, that's okay, but it felt like conversations were perhaps cold, and not that the local people were necessarily rude, just that they weren't as welcoming as we've seen across other parts of Mexico. And I think that has to do with they're just used to churning 100% of tourists. That's all they see every day. People don't know how to speak Spanish there, and that really just felt that's one of the things that we love about Mexico is traveling and getting to practice our Spanish and learning about the local people. And that just was really, really lacking in Tulum. And that's not to say anything bad about the local people of Tulum. I think it's definitely a byproduct of
the
the
nature
tourism.
of the tourism nature of the beast. And
it's like the whole ecosystem of humans there is kind of just like a little bit stirred. So that was sort of the thing that just really, the charm of the Mexican people was really missing in Tulum for us.
Yeah, and let us know your thoughts on Tulum. If you've been recently, if you've been 10 years ago, through a few interactions on Twitter, a few interactions with some of you.
We haven't met some of you in Tulum.
In Tulum is that you liked it. Some of the feedback we heard is that you liked it more 10, 15, 20 plus years ago versus what it has turned into. So,
but we don't know because we weren't there 10 years ago, but everyone keeps saying Tulum isn't what it used to be. So I'm really curious what you guys have to say, because this was really our first true experience in Tulum. All that to say, it took us an hour and a half to plan what we were going to say. I hope that this resonates with you guys. I hope that you feel like we're not trying to be negative. This was just our experience. And ironically enough, it was one of the best trips. Ingrid is a dear friend, and I feel like we had the best time in one of our least favorite cities. It was so weird.
It was odd. Amigos, that is all we have for you. What do we have in the next adventure? Do we know? I think we have some house hunting.
Oh, yes, we do.
I think we have some house hunting. Be tuned. Stay tuned.
Be tuned
for that one. Be sure to head on over to contodocoffee.com. Use code Black Friday at checkout to get 30% off your first month of the El Café Más Suave del Mundo. That's all we got. Bye.
Bye.